Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Teresa. So today it's a little bit of a mishmash. I'm using an, at this point, quite old palette. It is the Beauty Bay Midnight palette, £42. It's massive, and I'm creating this look, but what I'm sure you've more clicked on is the fact that I'm doing a giveaway. Yes, that is correct, of the 16 pan Midnight palette. So I'm not taking that out of the box because that should be safe for you. So if you want to see a tutorial of this and see what I think of the overall big 42 pan palette and see what the story is in terms of the giveaway, then do please keep on watching. In terms of makeup releases, this palette is now so old that it's pretty much irrelevant, like me. So I feel an affinity with it in that sense, but fuck it, we're gonna do something with it. Let's get going. I'm taking this Zoeva 228 and I'm going into the shade Hex, and I am just popping that on the outer corner. As blacks go, it isn't bad. Now I'm dabbing that really gently because I don't want to put too much on yet. That's for future Teresa. I'm trying to do the whole like build, take away, build, take away, build, take away. And I don't want to say build take away anymore because that seems redundant. But yeah, just putting it out on like almost this outer V type thing, which sounds naughty, but you know what I mean. So as you can see, I kind of just sectioned that to a very small portion of the eye. And I'm taking this Cat Beauty brush and I'm going into the shade Midnight, after which presumably the palette is named. And I'm just kind of tapping that on top of the black and just along the edges. Decent pigment on this. Obviously there's a lot of these shades that correspond with previous palettes that they've come out with, you know, things like the Book of Spells, Book of Magic, whatever it is that it was called. And I think it was very smart of them to come out with a permanent edition palette so that like people didn't have the major FOMO of missing out on a lot of those shades. And obviously I went for the big 42 pan because I'm an idiot and I'm like, oh, more is always better. No, Teresa, more is not always better. You need to learn to chill the fuck out. And yet here I am with a 42 pan palette trying to make sense of my life. They blend really, really well. I am taking this melt brush. It's nice and kind of tapered and floofy, and I'm going into Denim. And again, are we that surprised? I'm popping that on top of the previous shade a little bit and actually extending it out to where my hair is, because we don't need you on my eyelid. Let's pretend that we have more eyelid space than we actually do. Ah ha ha ha, make it up as we go along. Yeah, like most of my life. Look at it, whatever, it's grand. So just popping that on there. Again, you can see pretty darn good pigmentation on this. It all blends together pretty nicely. Like I said, I am not the first person to have tried this. I'm not even the 1 millionth. Like, you know, this is so popular and it's been out for such a long time. I hate their bloody delivery service at the moment. It's so bad. Like, this took a month to get to me. A month. I could have swam over to England and got it myself, although I'm not that athletically inclined. And then I'm taking this Spectrum B11 and I'm going into Bingo. And I'm really fighting the urge to start singing the child's nursery rhyme around Bingo. But don't worry guys, I'm strong, I'm steadfast. This isn't gonna happen. We're gonna be okay. So you can see they blend together really well. Obviously that makes sense, they're of the same colour story. If they didn't blend together well, that would have been fucking weird. Like really, really strange. But you're not seeing any major patchiness, at least I amn't here. But that being said, I have terrible, terrible eyesight. And then I'm taking that melt brush again and I'm going back into Denim because I'm just kind of going back and forth, like building and dispersing, like I said. Because otherwise it just starts to look a little bit blocky. Nothing wrong with blocks, but like my face is not Lego. And then using the Cat Beauty brush again, I'm going back into Midnight. Now I will say there's a shade that's very, very close to what Midnight is as well in the palette, and I think they could have kind of omitted that. Like Seems like an odd kind of one for them to have included. And then taking the Zoeva 228 and going into Hex again, and I'm packing that just there like that, as you can see, with your own eyelids or eyeballs or whatever, and then just blendy, and that gives a nice amount of depth. It isn't a bad black at all, and you'll know I have like a penchant for having palettes with blacks in them. I just tend to appreciate it when a palette has a black in it. It's always super helpful to create that depth. Although I will say with this palette, it already has quite a bit of depth because we're talking about like very deep blues and very deep purples. Taking the Cash Beauty brush again, going back into Midnight. I know, we're having a horrible deja vu here, but look, you know, it's like that movie, Palm Springs. Anyone seen that? I love that film. So good. And then the Melt brush, and I'm going into Denim again. Sometimes, at times like these, I think to myself, am I not meant to be making these match? And then I'm like, oh shit, I am. And like, would they even find each other on Ancestry.com, you know? Do they share the same chromosomes? Who knows? And then taking the Spectrum B11 and going back into Bingo. Stay strong, Teresa. Don't start singing the song. Don't be a weirdo. Don't be that person. I'm just taking that Zoeva 228 again. I didn't take any more product onto it because it already had loads on it, so we're fine. And just swishy. I know it's really weird that I started on like the outside rather than the inside of the eye, but I figured I'd take the Hollywood approach and start working on the outside rather than the inside. Because it's all about appearances, isn't it? I feel so bitter today. You know what, lads? That'll do. Can't be fucking arsed anymore. I'm taking a Jessup JE05 and I'm going into this lovely sort of blurple shade that's called Iris. And I'm just packing that sort of on the crease, a little bit below it as well, because I have the hooded eyes, you know. I don't try not to be too jealous of my genetic lottery, which is very difficult. This is where it all starts to kind of come together a little bit more. Should I have necessarily used Mellow as a liner? I don't know. Thought it could look interesting, but I'm still having thoughts about it. I feel it may not have been my most clever idea. And now I'm taking a Spectrum A12 and I'm going into what is a really good corresponding like blending out shade for that one, and it's Lavender. And I am just popping that on top and kind of bringing it more towards the inside as well. Quite a decent amount of pigment when you consider like it is quite a pale colour. But what I like about this palette is kind of the range in terms of depth. You have some really light shades and then you have some like properly like dark shades. You know, like the new Batman dark, you know, that sort of dark. And then I'm taking the Jessup JE05 again and I'm going back into Iris just to kind of get that depth back in there again. Because you would think that Lavender, being like a much like paler shade, wouldn't quite like outdo this, but it kind of does. Like there's a weird amount of colour to that. It's nuts. And then I'm taking a blank canvas E23 and I'm going into the shade Velvet. Now this is one of the things that kind of bugs me a little bit, is this is a fantastic colour, I really like it, but there's no lighter corresponding matte shades for this. So this is a tricky one to actually blend out, and if you're blending it with other things, it just looks a bit odd, you know? But I was an idiot and I was like, fuck it, I'm using it anyway. So this is definitely an Icarus moment. I've flown too close to the sun and now I have to deal with the repercussions of my actions, and I'm not entirely sure I'm enjoying it. And then I'm taking this BH Cosmetics small precision brush and I'm going into the shade Sash, because like I said, there's actually no kind of matte shade that's lighter than the shade Velvet. So I am doing a Tim Gunn and attempting to make it work. Attempt being, quite frankly, the operative word here. I feel like my makeup mojo has gone. Not that I had much of a mojo. I had more of a mojo jojo, but like it was semi there. But these days I'm just like, what you doing? Like, what's happening? And it's all a bit, how do I say it? Shit, I believe is the correct term. fuck it. And then I'm going on R&R with Shea tonight, and she'll always like pull it out the bag that I'm just sitting there with like a face like a slapped arse. I love Tia. I didn't have to blend it that much. I think all those shades kind of mesh quite well. Taking that as a wave at 228 again, and I gotta go into that and Iris, so that purpley shade, because I want the two of them to kind of mesh together a little bit, because fuck it, why not? I don't have to justify myself to you, or do I? I don't know. I'm not an important enough person to have managed to get to that point where I have to justify my actions to like people on the internet. Who knows? Yeah, that'll do. I'm taking this Zoeva mini fan brush and I'm going into Shield. Like, I can imagine this is a great palette for a lot of MUAs. It's relatively inexpensive, and I've seen it's been on sale quite a bit of late. Like, Beauty Bay have been doing a lot of sales, I think, because they were like moving warehouse or whatever. That was their excuse for their terrible, terrible shipping. So like, this is great for an MUA. Like, the formula is definitely there. Now I will say their shimmers, difficult to put on with a brush. You don't get the full thing, like, but that's kind of what I'm looking for here. Just a subtle kiss of shim. I know, try not to be too jealous of all the technical terms that I know. Some call me the James Joyce of eyeshadows, you know? And by some, I mean absolutely nobody in the fucking world ever. Same brush again, and I'm going into the shade Apple, and I'm just popping that there because why not, you know? Life is short, death comes to us all. If I feel like putting shimmer onto my eyelids, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I've done the kind of cut crease, and the next thing I'm gonna do is use some of the shimmers. But I want to put a glitter glue down first because I find it's kind of the best for this. So I'm just taking a blank canvas, sort of a brush, and I am using my Too Faced glitter glue, which is, in my opinion, the best glitter glue out there. Don't hate me. It's a personal preference, okay? You know, don't come at me. And I'm just popping a little bit. I'm just doing like the first kind of third of the eye. Yeah, math, all that jazz. And I've said it a few times, but the way to apply the kind of shimmers from Beauty Bay is not via a brush. I'm using my NYX silicone and I am going into Gleam. And I'm just kind of popping it. Whoop, wrong way around. But you can see that's the way to apply it. You know, otherwise it's just a fucking disaster. But there we go. Getting a nice amount of pigment there. And I do think they do really, really nice shimmer formulas. Like, they really are something to talk about, you know? Although maybe it's just me, I just love shimmers. Do I have a problem when it comes to shimmers? Maybe, who knows? I'm popping on another shade, but first I'm putting on my Too Faced glitter glue. Because, you know, why not? And I'm just popping that kind of along the center using the trusty NYX silicone, and I'm going into Mystic. And one of the things I like about this NYX kind of brush is that it is shaped that it can get a certain amount of precision. Is it the most precise? No, but like, what were you expecting? It's a fucking silicone brush, you know? There's only so much that it's going to give you. But I personally think it's pretty darn good, all things considered. Home stretch now, lads. Last bit of glitter glue, and I'm just popping that out. I've done an odd shape because apparently that's what I'm doing with my life these days. And then again, the NYX silicone, and I'm going into Bubbles, which is such a strange phrase to say, isn't it? But you get quite a nice kind of a deep blue here, and I'm just kind of patching that out there towards the end. But I'm going in very, very lightly because essentially I'm at a really awkwardly shaped point. And then I'm just taking my blank canvas E10 and just with reckless abandon going between these shades and attempting to kind of make the lines a little bit softer. I don't know, I put a lot of hope into that. Also, I put a little bit of W7 glitter liner into the like corner, or I did on the other eye, and will do on this eye too. And the crazy liner shade is Mellow from Sheen Cosmetics. Kind of wish I'd stayed with my Artitude palette and gone with like, I don't know, the silvers or something from that, but look, we're in it now. This is what I've done. this is where I've gone. Right, that'll do. I'm gonna go and finish off the rest of this and I will come back and show you what it all looks like. Right, I finished everything off. Let's zoom into the eyes. And you know the golden rule, when in doubt, add gems. An approximate fuck ton of them, I believe is like the metric system. So this is what it looks like. Obviously I added a load of gems around the side there. Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's not my best look, but like, it also is not my worst. So what did I actually think of the palette? I think it performed really, really well. I think once you know what to expect of a Beauty Bay formula, like how to mess around with it, then you're doing pretty okay. I think there's a few shades in there that are a bit redundant and I'd have preferred to see other shades in there instead. So for example, there's two dark blues that are so close to each other. I'll show you now. Midnight and Twilight. So the two of those are very close to each other once you actually pack them on. So I would say, hey, could have done without, maybe I'd say Twilight, and then instead had maybe a lighter matte version of this shade in here, because there isn't really a light matte version of that anywhere in the palette, and it would have been nice to see that. But I think all in all, it's a damn good palette. Like, let's be real, it performs really well. It's a good price. So I'm gonna have to say 9 out of 10. I'm taking a point off because Beauty Bay are a fucking catastrophe when it comes to ordering and waiting. And I waited a month for this, and I know a lot of other people are waiting similarly long times. So I think they just need to kind of get a hold of themselves in that sense. But other than that, really damn good. If you're interested in winning this 16 pan Midnight palette, guess what? It's super easy. So all you have to do is like and comment and make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. Put down your Instagram details down below. Don't leave the @ signal or whatever. It seems to just like confuse things. But yeah, just put a little comment to say you would like to be entered, and that's it. That's it. Simple as. It is an international giveaway, so yeah, hey, it's open for everyone because, you know, it's nice to be nice. But anyways, that is it. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell so you can see more videos. And do please share, because sharing is caring, unless of course it's an STD, in which case, you know, wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.